They wrote it in the laws, ink still bleeds. Treating women like soil, just planting seeds. She's gone, brain dead, not even awake. But the state's got a claim, gonna plant its stake. Say it's God's will, say it's life they protect, but they ain't the ones feeling pain or neglect. From Texas to Georgia, they set the trap. Rights roll back while they smile and clap. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey mega fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. This ain't pro-life, it's control and shame. They don't care if she's gone, just playing a game. Keep her hooked to machines, cold and still, just a vessel to them, not a human with will. No consent, no voice, no chance to resist. Just laws in place, written with a clenched fist. Hospitals scared, judges playing God. Bodies ain't temples, just state-owned pods. Gilead's here, this is true. Hey mega fools, they'll come for you too. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Bands in the dark, they don't care who it kills. Sacking courts while they strip out all of your wills. But we'll fight back, march loud, burn bright. Cause this ain't the end, it's the start of the fight. Gilead's here, ain't no grace. And those leopards are coming to eat your face. So I'm gonna jet, see you later. I'm not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator. Not gonna be a baby incubator.
The creative director at WGSO had a little something he thought you should know. When Dan picked on his bits, Steve got real gruff. So Steve called Dan a flake, called him liberal dandruff. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Steve's about to find out his mistake. In this feud, Dan's Kendrick, Steve is Drake. Dan might not be the world's best singer, but he's got more talent in his little finger. Steve thinks that his lines are really clever, but when do people ever like him? Never. Liberal Dan's got better lyrics, this is true. Listen and you'll feel like I do. Liberal Dan, his show is great. Liberal Dan, he goes live at 8. Liberal Dan radio, it's the best, cause Liberal Dan's head and shoulders above the rest. Proclaimed king, a groper in chief, stealing our country, a crooked orange thief. Faux patriots who are poorly educated, wearing red hats and also unvaccinated. Liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right. A failing media that's barely treading water. They're too inept to fight this new world order. Corporate pigs are at the trough, hear the squeals. The swine won't bite the hands that feeds them meals. But Liberal Dan will see us flow. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan radio, talk from the left, that's right. leftist voice on air, exposing MAGA treason, breaking through their lies with facts, logic, and reason, unmasking hypocrisy. The truth will be our guide. Call out their lies, justice is on our side. 'Cause liberal Dan will see us through. It's the best show that you're not listening to. So when you hear the call, animals unite. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right. Liberal Dan Radio, talk from the left, that's right.
And welcome back to Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, that's right. I'm your host, Dan Zimmerman, coming at you live from New Orleans, Louisiana. We probably won't do phone calls today because this is going to be a short show. I have a couple things I do want to cover, but I have to be at the place where I'm getting my knee replaced at 5:30 in the morning my time. So yeah, I don't want to stay up too late. I still have some things to do after the show as well. So this won't be too long of a show, but again, there are things that I do want to talk about, so we'll make sure to get those out of the way. And just as a reminder, I'm sure I'll remind you several times over the course of the shorter show, but I will announce on social media channels whether or not I will be doing a show on Monday. Monday is my first, day of physical therapy after my procedure, and also I don't know if I'm going to be able to walk the stairs. If I do a show, it'll be one of these shorter, hey, I'm doing a show from, my whatchamacallit, from my phone, and not a really overly produced show with lots of music and everything. So it just happens to be how it goes, or as you know who says,
it is what it is.
He actually said it today as well. He said that comment today. So he doesn't just say it about all of the COVID deaths that took place during his presidency. He also says about other things. But the reason I play the it is what it is all the time is because everyone should be reminded of how callous he was when it came to treating all of the deaths that took place, and the needless deaths during COVID. Anyway, to support the show, remember to like, share, subscribe. I'm sure most of you have already subscribed, but like, share, hit that like button, tell other people, let them see your favorite parts of the show, interact with other people's comments on posts, get the algorithms up, because as we all know, Al Gore needs more rhythm. Monday, I should be getting my shirts in the mail, so I won't necessarily be able to show them off. Maybe if I do regardless of what happens, I'll do a small live at least to show off at least one of the shirts. But again, we will see how well we're doing and how I feel, and if I'll be able to get up the stairs or not before we make decisions on when the next time a real show will air. But even if I can't do a real show, I'll still do things like, upload vid shorts or whatever, do some commentary. I'll try to do some other things, but, got to make sure to keep everyone engaged, right? But other ways to support the show beyond the free ways of, liking, sharing, subscribing, commenting, etc. is Liberal Dan Venmo Liberal Dan, buy me a cider, go to liberaldan.com, click the Buy Me Cider button, or just go to buymecoffee.com/liberaldanradio. You can gift memberships here and subs on Twitch. If you're a member on Twitch and have Amazon Prime, you could always get a free monthly subscription that way as well. Buy super chat, super stickers on YouTube, and of course buying bits on Twitch as well. Although usually the bits on Twitch usually helps more during the Nerdy Dan stream, simply because of the fact that, well, I don't really show the hey, this is all of the stuff that goes on. Like all of the special sound bites and everything that happens on Twitch. We got 250 Kilo Ohm and or Villaby over on Twitch. Thank you over there. Over on YouTube, we've got the Mod Squad, Aaron and Jolie, the best mods on the internet. We got Fancy. We got Steve from across the pond. We've got... Hold on, let me just go ahead and click save on this real quick. Okay. We got... Jeff from just north of Venice, Josh, One Vision. Let's keep scrolling down. Marie, good to see you, Marie. Thank you for joining. Jackie, good to see you, Jackie, as well. Big Hook, our good friend from up north. I wonder, was it as balmy as it was today on Monday on Vancouver and today's? How was the weather today up there? We got CR. Anybody else have happened to missed you? I'll try and catch you on the next time you say something. Also, remember, one of the good ways to help support the show is if you click the little heart button and then, just smash the hearts, smash the laughs, smash the cheers, smash the hundreds, however, if you agree with me or whatever. Just keep smashing those things. Just, again, help the algorithm. Algor needs more rhythm. Let's see, pedal is on the right, same as states. However, the turn signal headlight switch is on the opposite side. My new car, I think, is the same as English standard. Wow, that is weird. Atrocious at every game, good to see you. Hey, Liberal Dan, I sure feel liberated right now. I hate money, so I'm glad that Trump tariffs have liberated me from my already meager teacher salary. Yeah, just ridiculous. That Donald Trump is claiming that all these wonderful things are going on with his tariffs and all this money is coming into the U.S. government because of us. We're the ones paying it. And he's a dumbass who doesn't... Either he's a dumbass who doesn't think that we pay it because he's, a multi-millionaire, billionaire, whatever, however much he's worth. He could have lost money, who knows? But when it comes to Donald Trump, I don't believe any number that comes out of his lying mouth. So, but I know he's wealthy enough so that he probably doesn't realize what he spends when he buys things. So it doesn't care if something, increases in price because, it's not visible to him. He doesn't realize it. Whereas us, we realize it. So the tariff rebate is about as farcical as the Doge dividend, but if the other countries pay the tariffs, what the F is our rebate? But again, why make a tariff and then give a rebate and just don't do the tariffs at all? You're giving us back the money that you charged us. It's insane. So good to see you, Teresa. Trucker John's in the chat. Good to see you, Trucker John. I did try and catch you on Twitch today when you were streaming instead of on YouTube, but I didn't see your stream live, so I wanted to try and help give you a view. I do want to help Trucker John get monetized over on Twitch. I haven't forgot about that. It's relatively easy to do. It just needs people. You need to have people just watching on Twitch more often than watching on YouTube, and that's how you get it done. Boom, boom, boom. And of course have 50 followers. If you have not followed Trucker John's Twitch yet, go follow Trucker John on Twitch. I think it's Trucker John 3, I believe, is his Twitch. I'm sure Aaron or Jolie or Aaron, one of the two, I'm sure, has the link to his Twitch channel. So if you have Twitch and you're not subbed over or not, I guess, following or liked him over there, please do him a favor and do so to help him get to the 50 requisite minimum followers. Anyway, so that's a little bit of housekeeping. Again, if you happen to come in a little bit late, I have to be up in the morning I have to be there for my knee surgery, my knee replacement surgery at 5:30 in the morning, which means I probably have to be up at 4:30 in the morning. So we are not going late today. If I stop after 9, I'll be surprised. Hey, Impeccable Living.
Oh my.
Good to see you. I think I do have another oh my coming up. I think based on something that Orange Cheeto said. But first and foremost, before I get into the serious stuff, today is a very special. Let's record this one. Today is a very special anniversary for Liberal Dan and Liberal Dan Radio Talk from the Left. That's right, and it's not even a Liberal Dan Radio anniversary per se. It is a Dan and Dave on the Air anniversary because I was not doing Liberal Dan Radio yet. This clip is older than Liberal Dan Radio. It was when I was at a town hall being held by a local Republican congressperson. There was a 2-year bit where a corrupt Democrat got voted out of office, and I didn't vote for him. I didn't vote for the Republican either, but there was a corrupt Republican, Dollar Bill Jefferson, and he got beat by Joseph Gow, the Republican. And Joseph Gow was going around telling everybody all about the Affordable Care Act and how his interpretation of the bill, what isn't even his interpretation of the bill, he was following the Liberty Council's interpretation of the bill and the wording of it, specifically the HR 3200 version, section 122, which talks about limiting cost sharing, except he didn't say that it was limiting cost sharing. He said that that part was death panels, that part created the death panels. No, the death panels exist when insurance companies tell you that you can't get the brain surgery or the coverage that you need for your kid, so your kid dies because it won't cover it. That's the death panels. But I informed him, and I happened to be recording it at the time, that Section 122 of HR 3200 was not about death panels. It was about reducing cost sharing, i.e., they would have to spend no less than 80% of your premium dollars on healthcare services, and only 20% of your premium dollars could go towards overhead, salaries of all of the employees and all that other stuff. So you had to spend at least 80%. And that's in the law. That made it into the law, even though the HR 3200 didn't pass. It was the Senate bill that passed, but that part of HR 3200 did make it through. Well, Joseph Gow insisted that it's what it said, and I said, no, you're absolutely wrong. So Joseph Gow said,
you are much, much smarter than I am.
What was it that you said again, former Congressman Gow?
You are much, much smarter than I am.
A little echo, not the greatest audio or whatever. It was an old recording device or whatever. But yeah, he said that I was much, much smarter than I am. So when I saw that this was the anniversary of that, I had to include that in this show because, we found the audio in the middle of a previous show, thanks to your boy Chris, one of the first Liberal Dan Radio patrons. So thank you, Chris, and thank you, former Congressman Gow, for admitting that I was much, much smarter than you are. Anyway, let's see. Thank you, Atrocious at Every Game. Trucker John is playing hooky from work again. Good to see you, Alton. Nice to see you. Mad Mac is in the chat too, I believe I just saw. Yes, good to see you, Mad Mac. Robert Perez also there as well. Robert Perez and one of the many mother truckers who is coming by to support Liberal Dan Radio as well. Or should I say bad mother truckers, I guess. I don't know. I think that's what I called the followers. That's at least what I've been calling my nickname, pet name for all of the people who like Trucker John, including myself, because I'm a bad mother trucker too, as on top of being a sparkler. So, anywho, remember again, smash that like button, hit the subscribe, etc. We got 19 current viewers and 15 likes, so 4 people are slacking. Anyway, so one of the things I want to talk about today, before we get to more on Donald Trump's object permanence issues, is I wish I could make everything. I hate when it's like a really bright white background on websites, just because it just makes it so much brighter in my face as I put it up there. Anyway, the Department of Justice, according to its own website, the Justice Department dismisses half-century-old Louisiana consent decree. This is reading directly from this, and this is from April 29th, but there is other stuff that's going on. I think it also did the whole thing as well. This is a little older, but it's the same basic thing, same basic principle. In 1966, the United States sued Plaquemine Parish School Board seeking to desegregate schools. By 1975, the court found the schools had been properly integrated, but the case was never removed from the court system. Thus, for nearly half a century, the case remained open. That ended today. Assistant Attorney General Harmeet K. Dillon righted a historical wrong. Not the historical wrong of the, segregation that was going on in Plaquemine Parish, but freeing the local school district of federal oversight. For decades, the parish was forced to yield to the demands of past administrations, unnecessarily subjecting schools and students to probing federal oversight. No longer will the Plaquemines Parish School Board have to devote precious local resources over an integration issue that ended 2 generations ago, said Attorney General Dillon of the Justice Department Civil Rights Division. This is a prime example of neglect by past administrations, and now we're getting America refocused on our bright future. Future so bright, we've got to wear shades. Louisiana got its act together decades ago, and it's that's funny. And it's past time to acknowledge how far we've come, said Leo Terrell, Senior Counsel to the Civil Rights Division. America is back, and this Department of Justice is making sure that the Civil Rights Division is correcting the wrongs from past and working for all Americans. Yeah. Here we go. This is the more one. That's Norfolk. Let's just do another search for. Anyway, but this has happened back in April. But there was another report that I think they might have expanded something for other areas of Louisiana. That being said, this is why this is so dumb. The reason why segregation wasn't going on in Plaquemines Parish is not because Louisiana has magically gotten it right, or the people in Louisiana have magically become such, good-hearted people that they're not going to be racist anymore. I mean, I'm sure there are plenty of good-hearted people in Louisiana. I live here. I'd like to think that I'm one. However, immediately when, these rules get changed, where you eliminate oversight, the bad actors seize that opportunity to do the bad things. So it's not because Louisiana has gotten better. It's because you had those guardrails in place. It's like if I was taking a 2-year-old bowling, and the 2-year-old or 3-year-old or 4-year-old, whoever, really young kid, was just throwing the ball down the alley, but we put the bumpers up. So therefore, instead of going into the gutter, the bumpers would be there and would prevent it. So after a year of bowling or whatever, you might be like, oh, well, there's no need for bumpers anymore. He hasn't rolled a gutter ball in a whole year. And then you take the bumpers away, and the balls go right in the gutter again. Because the reason the balls didn't go in the gutter is because you prevented them from doing so. To put a more apt Louisiana spin on it, it would be like the Army Corps of Engineers saying, we don't need the levees anymore because the Mississippi River has not flooded New Orleans in such a long time. So therefore, that proves that we don't need the levees. But the levees are the reason why the Mississippi River hasn't flooded New Orleans or other parts of Louisiana that are within the levee protection system. This is how dumb conservatism is. This is why they can't be trusted with the reins of government, because they make the arguments that if you remove the things that are protecting you from the bad things, then the bad things are not going to happen because they haven't happened for so long. But the reason they haven't happened for so long is because you had protections against them happening. Or if you want a more dirty example, it would be like, oh, I don't need to use condoms anymore because I've used condoms for 20 years and haven't gotten anybody pregnant, a hypothetical person. So therefore, I can just stop using condoms now and I won't get anybody pregnant because I haven't gotten people pregnant for a while. Again, doesn't make sense. Logic is bad. And also that deserves a...
Oh my.
Oh, unless you happen to be impeccable living, then condoms won't determine whether or not you get pregnant or not. That'll be based on something else.
Oh my.
Anyway, so there's that. Anyway, but that's not the oh my reason that I had, but it's almost like, who do you know who has measles? We don't need no stinking vaccine. Exactly atrocious. I should have said that too. I should have looked over at the screen to say that. Let's see. Check 1 2. Hey Chad, what's going on? Good to see you. Damn, I forgot the acronym. Aaron, you'll have to remind me what the acronym is. Private joke. Anyway, apparently, what's the other thing? Aaron shared something hysterical that came from the Weather Channel. let's pull that up. Let's put that image up real quick, because that was freaking hysterical, and everyone needs to see it, because the Weather Channel's got jokes. Let's see, open image in new tab. There we go. Large area of high pressure steers Aaron west. There you go. So if Aaron West is being steered by large areas of high pressure, and she shared that on her page, so I had to go ahead and share that image with all of y'all, because I was quite amused at that. Anyway. Yes, focus. Thank you. I lost my focus, Aaron, so therefore I don't have any the same focus. The video of the guy throwing a sandwich at a National Guard at D.C. I found to be hilarious. Was it a ham sandwich? That would be even more appropriate. Big hook. Dan Savage says he hasn't impregnated his husband, but is not going to stop him from trying. That's hilarious. Let's see. I'm still laughing about a former church here, Jeff says, opening as a weed store and a smoke lounge. Well, you will be high on life, I guess. Raise it on high, right? Anyway. So. Excuse me. Actually, I think I have a bigger one coming. There you go. You didn't have to hear that. Take another sip of water. I'm trying to hydrate as best as possible before I can no longer take, any sort of drinks or anything, because I've got to be at my procedure at 5:30 in the morning. I mean, normally I would appreciate getting a procedure done that early, because then we can get done and get home and everything. But, what am I going to do? Get home and sleep? Like, just be knocked the F out on whatever pain pills I'm going to be on or whatever. Yeah, so that'll be interesting. But at least I'll get to eat later, or earlier, I should say. Anywho. So I know there are people who watch the show who do not like hearing the Orange Cheetos voice, but, we do have to cover the news here, so we do have to play some of his clips. And anyways, here we go. So I had a procedure at 2 p.m. before and had to fast for the entire previous day. Not fun. At least you're getting over it. That's the other thing. Yeah. Like, because I talked to them, I was like, well, since I have to be there so early, like at 5:30, and the procedure will probably start like at 6:30, since I have to be there so early, do I need to start my fasting earlier in the day? And they were like, no, it just says after midnight, so it's after midnight. So I guess there's some leeway there. But I'm like, because they don't like you taking your Zepbound or any of the other like GLP-1 or 2s or whatever when it comes to, they want to make sure that it's at least a week since you've taken it. So with all these procedures that I've had going on, I've had to adjust the day back and forth when I take that medicine. So I took it last Wednesday, 8 days or 7 days ago. So 8 days before my procedure to make sure that it's been a while. I'm sure I'll get home and then I'll just take the shot when I get home. However, basically, I don't know how much of that would be left in your system. So for the past 2 procedures, even though they've said, hey, for the colonoscopy, I just had to drink all day. But I still, when they tell you don't eat after a certain amount of time, I move it back a little more. So to make sure that the Zepbound that's lingering in my system maybe doesn't prevent anything bad from happening, not letting you move your food through your body or whatever. So this past anesthesiologist was like, right, that's what you should do. And that's what he was going to tell me to do. So at least I'm on top of that. I did have good news because last Thursday, I think it was, I had they scanned my kidneys just to see whether or not, if there's anything left in my right kidney. And they went ahead and scanned my left kidney too. And I think I might have talked a little bit about this on Monday. So they're looking at the right kidney. They found nothing. So good. It's all zapped away. Apparently sometimes what they'll do is when they're zapping it, they'll try and grab a little piece and pull it out. Apparently they zapped it so well that nothing was grabbable. It was just less than millimeter little pieces, and that all got passed. But the person who was doing, the lab tech who was doing the scanning, had me roll over on my side to get my left kidney, and I'm looking at the screen as she's doing it, and I see this white thing. I'm like, oh no, don't tell me. So they called me on Monday to schedule an appointment for today. So I went today for my follow-up with my urologist, and I was like, well, tell me what's going on with this thing, because I gotta know. It's not another kidney stone. Whew. So I'm all clear of kidney stones. Nothing there. So yay. There's still one more thing I need follow-up from my other doctor on. The colonoscopy was clear, showed nothing with that, but I had some other testing that he wanted me to do. I don't know what's going on with that. I'm waiting for an answer on that, but I'm not really going to talk about it much until I get more information, because I don't want to just go off of what like Google AI tells me what the results mean. I want to hear from the doctor what the results mean before assuming anything is going wrong. So anyway, I mean, I'm currently fine, but still, whatever. As old Donald Trump says,
it is what it is.
Thank you. Anyway, so again, I apologize for y'all that don't want to listen to Donald Trump, but you kind of have to listen to what he's saying here in order for us to get the full thing. So, yeah. So, Donald, last time we were on Liberal Dan Radio, Talk from the Left, That's Right, we were talking about Donald Trump and his apparent issues with object permanence. Like, he moves the portraits of presidents away, and he hides the unhoused away, and he doesn't want to have testing because apparently if you don't test and you don't see the results, there's nobody who's whatever. And if you put all Border Patrol, if you operate Border Patrol in Norfolk and San Francisco and all the other areas that are not on the border, you can have your head of ICE say, oh, or head of Homeland Security say, oh, we haven't had any illegal border crossings in 3 months. What? Anyway. That's the short version of Monday, at least on this topic. But I was listening in the background and heard old Donnie Boy talking about, D.C. and what he wants to have done in D.C. And so let's listen to this little tidbit from Herr Trump and see what he has to say. I was like, over my shoulder. That's scary. Anyway, let's have a good old listen, shall we?
What I want to do is make Washington, D.C. the greatest, most beautiful, safest capital anywhere in the world, and that's going to happen. I mentioned the word bones before. The bones here, we have the greatest bones.
I have bone spurs, so I don't have the greatest bones, but other people have the greatest bones. Other people might have better bones in them, but that's up to their social life.
Oh my.
That's not the one I was anticipating. But anyway, here we go. More on Donald Trump's bones. Mr. Bone Spurs talking about the best bones.
When you look at that Supreme Court building, I think it's one of the most beautiful buildings. When you look at some of the buildings here, it's so magnificent. And
the Supreme Court building is the most fabulous building. It's beautiful. It's wonderful. Although the White House looked good, but you had to gild everything around it. Again, probably pyrite, probably fake gold or whatever. But, he had to make everything look like Vanilla Ice's just did a refurbishing on the White House. Anyway, let's continue.
Everything's good, but it's just dirty and not properly maintained. It's not taken care of.
It's dirty and not properly maintained. Let's keep that in mind.
Holes in the roads. All of it's going to happen very quickly. We're going to seek a relatively small amount of money for fix-up.
So potholes, but it's going to happen quickly, and he's going to do it for cheap. How's that? What's he going to do?
And we're going to put it out to bid. We have great contractors here. Great.
Nobody has better contractors. We have the best contractors like nobody's ever seen.
Road builders, everything. And we're not ripping roads apart so they're closed for 4 years as they redo the concrete bases. And you don't need that. We need a beautiful topping by a very talented.
He needs a beautiful topping, huh?
Oh my.
Donald Trump apparently wants to be topped. That's news, breaking news on Liberal Dan Radio. Talk from the left, that's right.
Asphalt type person, somebody that does the job. We go out.
I want to get somebody to put the ass in asphalt.
But when I get contractors, I use great contractors.
And then I don't pay them. We don't pay their contractors. We get them great ones, but then we don't pay them or we declare bankruptcy. But I can't do that with the government, so I have to figure out how to not pay them any money or the money we're supposed to pay them.
To me, a great contractor is very special, like a great surgeon,
like a surgeon. Hey, cutting for the very first time. Weird Al, thank you.
A teacher, like a great nurse, a great contractor is very important. We'll only use the best. And when you put a coat of asphalt on that 2 inches of asphalt, 3 inches of asphalt, it looks brand new.
We're going to put 2 inches in that ass and then...
Oh my.
Again, but listen to what he said.
3 inches of asphalt, it looks brand new.
It looks brand new. It's not is brand new, but it looks brand new. And here's the point that I'm making with this. You know, if you wanted to do it right and correctly, you would, if there was a problem with the road, you would tear it up and get to the concrete base and fix that. Because that's the way you actually fix a problem, is getting to the root of the problem, or I guess with the concrete, getting to the bottom of the problem, and, you know, fixing the underlying problems. Not just putting a coat of paint on something and saying, oh, it looks brand new. Not putting gold trim something, oh, it looks wonderful, who cares what's underneath. Not just putting a coat of asphalt over it and saying, oh, it's done. No, that doesn't fix the underlying problem. It just makes it look pretty for now. It just hides the problem so he doesn't see the problem. Because according to Donald Trump, if you can't see the problem doesn't exist. This is why I'm saying that he has a problem with object permanence, because he doesn't understand that the underlying problems will still exist regardless of how much asphalt you put over it or paint you put on it or how much you shove under the rug or whatever it is that you're going to do, no matter where you put the portraits. Those things still exist. But he's too much of a man-child to understand that. And as we went over the last show, people who are adults who don't understand object permanence are people who have borderline personality disorder. And we went over what, you know, people with borderline personality disorder deal with and what they often do. And guess what? Donald Trump does that a whole lot too. So there you go. Yet another example of Donald Trump not understanding that, you know, we need to fix the underlying problems. And this is a very, you know, simple thing, but it just is a good metaphor for Donald Trump overall as a president, as a business person, and as a piece of shit human. Maybe the root is his problem. Yeah. 2 to 3 inches, exactly. So ripping away food, Medicaid and food stamps away from starving people, but he can take money for dumb renovations. Exactly. And it's dumb renovations because it's not smart renovations, because, again, it's not fixing the problem. It's just painting over it and hoping nobody realizes it until he's gone. Trust at every game. The buildings are magnificent in part because he hadn't slathered his stupid name on them yet. So, yeah. Oh, man, I'm pissed off. I didn't realize. I should have said that. Donald Trump has said so much stupid things, that I should have said the oranges of the problems. Yes, the oranges. But Donald Trump, you know, has the best words. Nobody has better words, right? Big hook. Lipstick on pig treatment. Yes, if you could put lipstick on a pig, it's still a pig. And no, that's not a sexist comment to the people who want to think that it's a sexist comment. There are people who have said that. Anyway, so yeah. Donald Trump and his stupid ass. Let's see, so we got the DOJ order, we got the anniversary of You March Much Smarter Than I Am, we got the asphalt object permanence issue. I guess the only other thing that I really wanted to talk about was Donald Trump said that, you know, if he had been president, he said this today as well. If he had been president, then Vladimir, let's record that one too. Why not? Donald Trump said that had he been president, that Vladimir Putin wouldn't have invaded Ukraine. Well, if that's true, you are now president. Why is he continuing to invade Ukraine? Could it be that Vladimir Putin doesn't respect you at all? Could it be you're Vladimir Putin's little bitch? Could it be that, you know, you're his puppet? Could it be that, you know, one of the reasons why he didn't take military action, at least big military action, during your first term, Herr Donald, could it be because you did his bidding without him having to move a single troop. You ceded the Middle East problems with Syria to Putin. You just let him take control of that whole issue. You did your damnedest to weaken NATO. Putin's sitting back going, like, I do not have to do anything. This guy, he does everything for me. There's no need for me to lift finger. I don't have to lift a single finger. Donald Trump do everything for me. He weakened NATO. He gives me Middle East. He make it so that we can charge super high price on oil later. He stopped price war between us and OPEC, and then we make bank. No issues. So, yeah. You know, maybe he's right in that Putin wouldn't have had to invade Ukraine during Donald Trump's, second term if this second term would have continued after his first term. But he's wrong for why he's right. The reason he wouldn't have had to do it is because you'd have done the shitty things for him. You would have made it so that he could have done power grabs. You might have even just said, look, Ukraine, just give him half your territory and it'll be the end of it. Right? Like, that's why Vladimir Putin didn't have to do anything while you were president in the first term. Because you were his stooge. Trumpo has to make his nut. Trumpo, he has to make his nut, okay? I need to make my nut, okay? Hilarious. Good South Park reference. See, Trump would have given Ukraine to Putin. He also needs to keep Joe Biden's name out of his mouth. Exactly. Still remember the frickin' when we were doing the reaction to Donald Trump talking to Zelensky in the White House, and Zelensky was pulling his jewels from Pulp Fiction because he looked like, every time that he would say, you don't have the cards, you don't have the cards, and he looked like he was going to say cards again, say cards again. And then, was it J.D. Vance, I think, says something, and the look that Zelensky gave Vance was like, I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing. Great movie. Anyway, you explained it well, Dan. Same with the paint on cars. Putting good paint over the bad will not look great for long. Exactly. What about the origins of oranges of the problem? Yes, exactly. Jolie, I also hate his stupid face and his stupid voice and his stupid thoughts and his stupid actions and everything about him, because there's nothing about him that's smart. But there was a picture of, somebody shared a picture of when it was Donald Trump and Elon Musk and Speaker Johnson and Donald Trump Jr. and somebody else on the plane. And the person was like, or the person who created the image was like, the pilot just could have taken one for the team and just put the nose down and be like, beep, and solved a whole bunch of problems. But it was probably J.D. Vance too. But, see, the waste of this administration is criminal, all while stripping the safety net for government agencies to deliver to the American people. Exactly. And not just the safety net for the American people. I mean, there are certain things that America has been called on to do that are for the betterment of the world. And past presidents understood this. But Trump is an isolationist, fascist dictator with the emphasis on the word dick. So I have to wonder if South Park covers Maxwell work release, and will they have her working daycare, lunchroom, PE teacher? He'll be working on PC Principal's staff, I guess. She'll go to South Park and be part of the PC Principal staff. I'd like to tell you about our new. Well, they fired Mr. Mackey, right? So clearly, a bold prediction. Have to record this one as well. Jeff from just north of Uranus goes, I have to wonder if South Park covers Maxwell work release, where they will have a working daycare, lunchroom, PE teacher. Yeah, clearly, if they would do what I would think they were going to do, I would think that they would have her, since Mr. Mackey lost his job, have her replace Mr. Mackey as the school guidance counselor underneath the PC principal. So that's my prediction on what South Park might do next. Anyway, if I'm right, I'm a genius, right? They need to replace a deported worker. Yeah. What's the chances Alaska is in Russia by Monday's show? I don't know if there'll be Monday's show. Again, because I might not be able to walk up the stairs because of my knee. But again, I've made this argument to Jeff Crouere, the Ringside Politics host. I've made this comment to him. I was like, what if Putin invaded Alaska and said that Alaska was once part of Russian territory? We would like it to continue to be part of Russian territory. And because they call Biden a warmonger for helping Ukraine defend itself, even though the West promised Ukraine that we would help defend them simply if Russia ever got froggy. And I was like, would you be telling Joe Biden, if Putin invaded Alaska, that he needed to stop being a warmonger and just let Putin keep the land? Or would you say, we need to defend our land? And he couldn't argue against that point. So I'm sure Putin would love to see Alaska back in Russian hands. And I mean, I think if you add to that with the Epstein thing and Ghislaine Maxwell or whatever, like, I would love to see conservatives scrambling to try and figure that out. Because, I mean, you see people like Charlie Kirk happy that Trump is taking over D.C. with the federalizing the law enforcement in D.C. and then wanting to do it in other cities. If Biden ever thought of doing that, they would be calling him all sorts of names and rebelling and clutching their pearls and saying everything is horrible and this is why you can't trust Democrats. But because hypocrisy is a conservative prerequisite, guess what? They're going to find all sorts of ways to support all the crap that he does. So it'll be interesting to see what they would do if that was the case. Hopefully it's never the case, but who knows? You never can know. But I want to try and do this real quick because there was one clip that I wanted to play on the show, but I had not gotten it before the show started. It was actually another radio show that's on the air. Yeah. This is one of the, I don't think I could ever be on WGSO simply because, again, regardless of the fact that I wouldn't want to support their channel, support the station financially because they charge their hosts. At least that's what they used to do. So, I'm sitting there listening to this show, and I have to always change it because it's only mono. It's not. Two channels. It's just one voice channel. So I have to copy and paste over something and basically make sure that it is two channels in order to put it on the air. But there was something I wanted to play on the show. Let's just see. Let's just try and see if I can get to this. Because this was just horrible. Here we go. Oh, shit. All right, so we are going to... Let's just copy this. And... didn't take you all weren't hearing it because I have it on mute. So let's see. Oh, that's too small. There we go. Okay. Anyway, let's put the audio back on, and we're going to play this audio. This is from the Christian Garrick show. Christian Garrick used to be a sports reporter on one of the news stations. Never knew that he was an insane wackadoodle, but apparently this guy had on a local Republican who was an Orleans Parish Republican, which means he's useless because Orleans Parish Republicans don't do anything except for wine. But let's listen. They were basically talking about there's a guy who's running for New Orleans mayor later on in this year. And one of the things that he does that he's a part of is they put him on the board, I guess, on the Innocence Project. For some reason, they couldn't get the name right. But, you know, apparently this guy has a problem with the Innocence Project. So let's just see what he had to say on the Innocence Project, because it's ridiculous.
He actually followed up with me. We had a video call, and I think we connected as two earnest individuals. But I find that Royce has changed over the years. I've had a couple of people who have echoed this. He used to be a pretty moderate, pragmatic guy. I mean, he's a St. Aug grad, and he moved in the educated circles. But he's changed recently in the past couple of years. He was given a board seat for the Innocence Project, or Project Innocence, whatever one it is, that operates in multiple cities. This is a nonprofit that takes millions, hundreds of millions from George Soros, who calls the shots there. And they're...
Again, when you say George Soros, that just means takes money from the Jews, because when they bring up George Soros, it's just code word for they're getting money from the Jews. So, you know, because we're all horrible, terrible people, right? So they have to, but they can't say that, so they have to say this. So they're upset at this Innocence Project and how they take money from George Soros and whatever. You know, but their problem is because they're horrible racist people who don't want to see anything of people getting out of prison.
They try and hide behind the fact of saying that they're trying to release innocent people who have been wrongly convicted.
They're trying to hide behind that. Like the Innocence Project has, you know, failed to release some people from prison, and other times they've actually successfully managed to get people freed from prison. And that's a good thing, because you shouldn't want people unjustly imprisoned, right? I mean, that's a great thing that they're doing. But of course, a Republican's going to have a problem with it.
But when you look at what they actually do, they just look for any excuse whatsoever to put convicted criminals back on the street to cause chaos.
Okay, so they want to... No. I mean, yes, these people are convicted as criminals. And so they're trying to put them out of prison because they believe that they were wrongly convicted. And here's the thing. Do you ever see that Making a Murderer? The thing on Netflix where they talked about, there was a Steve guy or whatever his name was. Well, it wasn't Steve Irwin, but it was Steve something. I forget the name. Maybe someone in the chat can say it. But you had him, and they were going over all of the actions that the Montauk or whatever, Wisconsin police officers did. And like they couldn't find anything in the house to convict him. And then magically, the police officer went back in and found a key that helped prove his guilt. And there was all sorts of things in this show. And that basically told me that I don't know if this guy did it or not. I absolutely don't know if he actually did the crimes that he was accused of doing. And he was actually one of the people, I think, that was freed, I think because of the Innocence Project or whatever, or at least whatever. But I don't know if he did it or not. But what I can tell you is that he should have never been convicted in the first place because of how wrongly the police officers acted. That case was so tainted, they should have never found a conviction. The judge should have thrown it out because there should have never been a conviction. Steve Avery, thank you, Aaron. There should have never been a conviction. Again, I don't know if he did it or not, but there still should have never been a conviction. This is why conservatives tend to have so many problems with defense attorneys, because defense attorneys are defending criminals. No, defense attorneys, if they do their job correctly, they make sure that the prosecution follows the rules, that they dot every I, that they cross every T. And if the prosecution can still prove their case with the defense attorney saying, no, you can't do this, no, you can't do that, you're breaking the rules, you're not supposed to be able to do that. If they get the conviction, then hopefully with a good defense attorney, you still did the job right. That they did it fairly and equitably. But conservatives don't like that. They just want to lock people up. I got this from Jeff Couer when it comes to the deportations that are going on. I'm like, there are 18 Filipinos off the cruise ship that got seized without due process, without hearings, just detained, deported, and banned. No due process whatsoever. And he's making excuses because, but there's all these other people that are illegal here, so it doesn't matter. Ben Franklin was the one that said, if I'm recalling the quote correctly, that it's better for 100 guilty people to go free than one innocent person be locked up. That's how our justice system is supposed to work. It's supposed to be difficult to convict somebody of a crime. But yes, so yes, these people, every single person, every single case that the Innocence Project takes up is a case of somebody who was convicted of a crime. But they're going to say that they were wrongly convicted of the crime, that they should have never been convicted of the crime. Now, that could be because the person is innocent. That could be because the prosecution broke the rules. And in both cases, that should be true. They should be let out. I mean, you had the stupid Supreme Court ruling that harmed that, Salinas v. Texas, another one of these horrible Alito rulings that said that somebody's silence could be used against them in court if they don't plead the fifth. Dumb. Anyway, let's continue with this brain surgeon's comments, and we'll go from there. I think his name is Derek Fossier or something.
For example, there was a man called Dan Bright right here in New Orleans who was released. Something about, they tried to retest a murder weapon for DNA evidence and it didn't exist, so therefore this man was not guilty. It was a huge stretch. Well, soon after he was released, he tried to kill somebody else and he was rearrested and rejailed. And you see this over and
Okay, so the guy was rearrested and rejailed. One has nothing to do with the other. I mean, if he was rearrested and put back in prison, the fact that he was, released from the Innocence Project, that doesn't stop him from being wrongfully convicted before. Innocent Project New Orleans. Let's bring up this case. It is exonerated June 14th, 2004, incarcerated 9 years, 3 months, 7 days. Dan Bright was wrongfully convicted in 1996 of the 1995 murder of Murray Barnes. Mr. Bright was represented by a lawyer who did not investigate the case and was drunk at his trial. At the same time, the state withheld FBI documents that named the real killer in the murder and evidence that undermined the credibility of the state's primary witness. As a consequence of the woeful performance of Mr. Bright's defense attorney and the unconstitutional withholding of key evidence by the prosecution and the FBI, the jury sentenced Mr. Bright to death. He was 26 years old at the time. Mr. Bright's sentence was later commuted to life, at which time he made requests to have the identity of the true killer released through the Freedom of Information Act, citing the real killer's right to privacy. Citing the real killer's right to privacy, the federal government declined to reveal his name. Why would the real killer have a right to privacy if the real killer was the real killer? You don't have the right to be privately be a murderer. Mr. Bright was represented by Ben Cohen and Clive Stafford Smith from the Louisiana Crisis Assistance Center. Innocence Project New Orleans signed on to the case to provide additional support. Shortly after, a federal district court ruled Mr. Bright had the right to know the identity of the true killer. Shocking, I know. Louisiana Supreme Court reversed Mr. Bright's conviction in 2004, and he was released and exonerated on June 14th, 2004. When he was released from prison, among the most relieved was Kathleen Hawk Norman, the foreperson of the jury that had sentenced him to death. She had become one of his strongest advocates after learning the evidence had been withheld from the jury on which she served. She also became one of his closest friends after release. As a result of her involvement in Mr. Bright's case, Kathleen dedicated countless hours to raising awareness about wrongful conviction. So good for her and good for them. Of course, there's nothing in this about, him being convicted later. And as if he's a Republican, I have, let's see, Dan Bright, once freed from death row, pleads attempted murder charge down to misdemeanor. New district attorney in New Orleans has helped free Dan Bright for a second time. In one of Jason Williams's freaking paywalls. Let's see if we'll have to edit this part out, I guess. No, that's not it either. Trying to see how to get this frickin' thing done. Anyway. Pain in the ass. Anyway, so apparently he pled the attempted murder charge down to a misdemeanor in one of Jason Williams' first decisions. Let's see if we can find another story about that. Let's see. In 2021, New Orleans District Attorney Jason Williams agreed to reduce a charge of attempted murder against Dan Bright to misdemeanor battery. Bright had previously been on death row after a murder conviction that was later overturned and then arrested again for allegedly stabbing a man. The victim in the second case signed an affidavit stating Bright was not the attacker. Williams, in one of his first actions as district attorney, pleaded the appeal. This is why you don't believe Republicans. This is why you don't believe Republicans. This Fossier dude was saying that he was rearrested, but the person who was stabbed said in an affidavit that Bright wasn't the attacker who stabbed him. But he's sitting here making excuses as to why we should lock these people up. The victim in the second case signed an affidavit saying Bright was not the attacker. Williams was one of the first actions as district attorney, agreed to the plea deal, and Bright was released after serving the time associated with the misdemeanor charge, which he had already served while in jail. The victim was of stabbing us and signed an affidavit. Let's see. It's on Audacity, blah, 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 blah. Williams emphasized that he was upholding his promise to not coerce innocent people into pleading guilty to the crimes they didn't commit. He stated that the plea deal was the right thing to do, given the victim's statement. Again, this person is saying, oh, he was found guilty of another crime. No, he was again wrongly accused. And Jason Williams, the DA, who's a good guy, there's a picture, I have a picture of me with him and George and Evander Holyfield. But you know, good guy. And this is one of the guys, this, in his election attempt, he was trying to get elected and he was running against somebody else. And his Democratic opponent was bringing up how Jason Williams was a defense attorney for a while, criticizing him for being a defense attorney. Again, defense attorneys have an important role to play in the position, and if you don't understand that, you shouldn't be a prosecutor. Prosecutors should understand the important roles that defense attorneys play. Let's continue with this idiot on this other show just to finish up some stuff.
And you see this over and over again with the Innocence Project. Recently, last week.
You see it over and over and over again that they get innocent people freed from prison, and then he's using an example of an innocent person who was accused of another crime wrongly because the person who was stabbed signed an affidavit saying he didn't do it. Let's continue.
Recently, last week, there was a man in Philadelphia. He was released from jail. He was in jail for 24 years for murder. They even gave him $4 million. They felt so bad for this man, okay? And what did this man do with his freedom and the $4 million, okay? Let's think about this. This is a man who just got out of jail, and he was not well off beforehand, and they gave him $4 million. Let me tell you what he did, Christian. He went straight back into selling crack cocaine. One of the people who they call it fronting, right? They give him the product before they get the cash. And he murdered one of his customers because he owed him $1,000.
All right. Why should I believe you? We just showed this person that he lied about, Dan Bright. But yet, why should I now believe you on this case too? I don't think he didn't even give the name of the person, so you can't even look it up.
Killed him. This man was just released from jail after 24 years. He was given $4 million, and you have all of these educated liberals who are cheering in the air about how great of people they are, and they end up spreading crack cocaine in the community and killing another community member. And they still think that they're good people. This is what Project Innocence does.
Okay, but again, if he's wrongly convicted of the first crime, that has no bearing on whether or not he should be. If you're wrongly convicted, you're wrongly convicted and you should be freed. If he then goes and does other things that are wrong and he actually does commit a crime, at that point, put him away. But yet, liberals want innocent people freed. Conservatives want to lock innocent people up for reasons that I'll let you imagine as to what those reasons might be. Philadelphia man Sean Thomas, who was previously exonerated after serving 24 years for murder, has been sentenced again to prison after serving in a separate killing in 2017. Thomas was freed after his 1992 murder conviction was overturned, and he received a $4.1 million settlement. In 2024, he pleaded guilty to fatally shooting a man who allegedly owed him money for drugs. Initial wrongful conviction, served 24 years. Settled after his conviction was overturned. Thomas was released from prison. and whatever. But then he did horrible things, and he pled guilty to murder. But again, one should have no bear that he went back and made a bad choice, clearly a horrible choice, has nothing to do with whether or not he should have been freed after being exonerated in the first place. Let's see, this article isn't necessarily giving exactly what made his what caused him to be exonerated. Let's just see if we can pull that up. Because they keep wanting to bring up the fact that he goes back to prison. But the fact is that doesn't stop the fact that he was wrongfully imprisoned. And that's what they don't seem to want to get.
They have dozens of cases exactly like this.
Okay, and what if you're somebody who's been in prison for 24 years surrounded by people who might be actually correctly convicted, you don't have the best people around you, right? But again, that doesn't mean that we should not exonerate people who are exonerated. If you're wrongfully convicted, you should be freed from prison. And you shouldn't look back at future events and say, oh, well, we were wrong for doing so. Because that's going to make people think, oh, well, then we should never free wrongly exonerated people or correctly exonerated people who then go do wrong things, because what if somebody else does the same thing? No. If the justice system messes up, or whatever, the justice system needs to take accountability and free the person.
And do you know that in all of the interviews that Royce has done, even with Fox 8, WWL, not a single person has asked him about his relationship with this extremely controversial far-left organization?
If it's far left to want people who are wrongly convicted to be freed from prison, I guess I'm on the far left. But again, these people are so far to the right that they think Joe Biden, a centrist, is to the far left. These people call Joe Biden a socialist. He's not a socialist. That idea is laughable.
Of course they won't. I mean, there is evil as a lot of these candidates.
You know what evil is? Evil is making an argument that innocent people should not be freed from prison because a few of the people exonerated because of the actions of the Innocent Project went on to do bad things in the future. That's evil. This is what conservatism brings you. This is why conservatives should not be allowed to gain any more power, but we keep being stupidly giving them more power.
I don't think they even know what Project Innocence is. That's the problem. I mean, it's just, we tend to get the government we deserve, and I don't.
Yeah, I mean, we do get the government. I guess we get the government we deserve because now we have the Donald Trump, administration, and maybe we deserve that, or maybe the people who voted for him deserve all of the crappy stuff that's going to happen because of that. But the idea that we don't know what the Innocent Project, absolutely, we know what the Innocent Project is, and we support what they do. And they get a lot of wrongly convicted people released from prison, and that's a good freaking thing. Unless you're a scumbag, evil, MAGA bastard.
The whole time talking bad about people. I want to see Oliver Thomas step up and be a voice for reason. He's not doing that yet, but I think he has potential. And
Oliver Thomas, just so you know, is somebody who was rightfully convicted of a crime. He was actually convicted of a crime, and he's back serving as a council person for New Orleans District E, which is out in New Orleans East, and he's running for mayor now. And he wants somebody convicted of a crime. I guess he supports Donald Trump too, so he likes criminals. This is conservatism in a nutshell. They embrace actual criminals and reject people who are innocent from being freed from prison. This is how you get Nazism. This is how they goose step behind the Führer in chief. It's absurd. Like, somebody watching this would be like, this is a bad TV show. This is a bad plot. No, well, apparently it's real life.
And I do want to again mention Ricky Twiggs, who has just uploaded a wonderful infrastructure plan. If you want roads that work,
Anyway,
if you want to just
Ricky Twiggs is not going to win the election. It has nothing to do with what's going on and what he's saying. But to Chad or to Mike in the chat or whatever, this is what y'all are voting for when you're voting for conservatism. You're voting for people who support crap like this, who want to keep innocent people in prison and free guilty people. And vote for guilty people. And vote for guilty people who are going to free guilty people. How many people pled guilty to assaulting cops on January 6th that Donald Trump then freed? Y'all are some stupid motherfuckers. If you think that that's good. Those people should still be rotting in jail for assaulting cops. Thought y'all supported cops, but you only support cops when they murder black people like George Floyd. You will have the back of Derek Chauvin, no problem. But when the people who are the DC police, the Capitol Police, tell you that they were assaulted by these MAGA scumbags, insurrectionists, you're like, oh, they should be freed. How stupid is that? That's fucking ridiculous and fucking ignorant. Oh, let's keep the people in prison who are exonerated because they might do something wrong. Fuck off. And fuck you. Wait, who says something about Jason Williams is a black guy. He is a black guy. I don't know why the race of Jason Williams matters, but Jason Williams is a black DA prosecutor. Both of the people who were running and both Jason Williams and his opponent, both of them, Cynthia Hedge Morrell was his opponent. We've had her son on the show. We like her son. We don't necessarily like her, but we like her son. JP Morrell is a great person. See, Elon and Ben Shapiro wanted Trump to pardon Derek Chauvin. That's a fucking sociopath. He was convicted on state charges and there's zero chance Tim Wonks lets him out. Exactly. But what they'll try and do is they'll try and get another governor who's a MAGA Republican who will then free Derek Chauvin. Let's see what I missed in the chat because I had the thing in front of me, so I couldn't really see what was going on. Remember, police and prosecutors are not your friends. They lie and pretend to be your friend while trying to put you in prison is allowable, and qualified immunity and change laws and standards. I agree with you on that. No, I've told my kids, look, if you need help, fine, go look. And you see a police officer, ask the police officer for help. But if a police officer comes to you and starts asking you questions, you tell them you want to speak to your parents first before you talk to them. Don't let them coerce you into saying a word. Say, I want to speak to my parents, and I'm not talking unless I get to speak to my parents. If my parents are here, etc. Anyway, that clip is going to have a lot of editing to be done because I kind of skipped a bunch or whatever. But yeah, it is absolutely ridiculous. But again, it's regardless of whether or not, Williams is black or white, because black people who are cops and black people who are prosecutors can absolutely perpetuate societal racism. Hell, I was opposed to Vice President Harris's campaign in 2020 because of her ridiculous actions as Attorney General of California, because she also refused to let somebody who was exonerated by the a judge literally said he is innocent of these charges. Not that he is not guilty, not that he was wrongly convicted, but he's innocent. And then Attorney General Harris said, we're not letting him go. Now, this guy happened to also be a piece of shit, the guy that was in prison, but pieces of shit who are wrongly convicted should still be released from prison. Because, the judge said he was factually innocent, and Harris was trying to use technicalities. This is one of the reasons why I was majorly opposed. And people on my friends list were like, but he was like a white supremacist or something. I don't care. I mean, I hate that he's a white supremacist, but you don't win by wrongfully imprisoning people. So, atrocious at every game. What didn't you know? Let's see. What's up, Dean? Good to see you. Jeff or Sherwin-Williams? Gotta ask her. Sherwin-Williams was I think a baseball player too, huh? That Harris did that despite the recognition it is present. Yeah. Yeah, I was very annoyed at that. Now, even back then, I said clearly, plain as day, if Harris was the nominee, she's still miles better than Donald Trump. But I didn't want her being the nominee, and I wasn't too pleased that Biden picked her as the vice president choice because of that. But at that point, I was just going to be like, you know what? It's still better than Trump. Still better than Trump and Pence at the time. So, blah, blah, blah. What did I miss? What did I miss? What did I miss? I have a feeling I might be having to get DoorDash or Uber Eats sometimes. Whatever, depending on what's going on and depending on, stuff. Because, I mean, I don't know. We'll see. Who knows? Who knows how well I'll be able to get around if I'll even be able to get to the door. Anyway, yeah, atrocious. I like Kamala Harris, but that's effed up. It is effed up. And I still would have preferred to say President Harris right today than President Trump. Don't get me wrong, but still, shitty what she did as AG back then. But there are a lot of leftists who agreed with me. It was like, Harris is a cop. Because she was part of law enforcement, so she was a cop. Anyway, so as a brief reminder, I did get to talk about that. I'll have to do some. I do have to do some editing before I do the rest of the stuff that I want to do tonight. That being said, we are ending the show a little earlier than we might normally do so because I have to be at the surgery place for my knee replacement surgery at 5:30 in the morning tomorrow, which means I have to get up around 4:30 to be able to take a quick shower, use the antibacterial soap or whatever, be all fresh and clean, and then, get my knee replaced. Goodbye, left knee. It's been good knowing you, except for the last few years where you've completely failed me. But anyway, while we're in the show, I've been doing those Tom Lehrer reimaginings. 2 of them have uploaded to my YouTube channel today. One of them, Alma. The other one of them is Werner, the story of Werner von Braun. Story of Alma is interesting. If you go to my YouTube channel and look at these 2 videos, I link to the original videos, the original songs, which include the introductions to the songs, like Alma, something Mahler Gropius Werfel, was somebody who, thank you, Jolie, appreciate you being a Danimal for 19 months. Wow, monetized for 19 months, that's amazing. That's because of all of y'all and the help of the 2 mods specifically. So Alma Mahler Gropius Werfel married all of these people, and he made a little piano ballad or whatever about like the loveliest girl in Vienna was Alma, the smartest as well. Once you picked her up on your antenna, you'll never be free of her spell. Anyway, so that was how the song starts and how there's a piano accompaniment behind, whatever. But I did a reimagining of it, a little more punk. Actually, both of these are kind of punk speed metal type things. And then the other one was Werner von Braun, who was a German rocket scientist that then came to America to help Americans with their rocket program. And as Tom Lehrer said, put some clown on the moon. And then, hey, P-Dubs, thank you. Thank you, Jackie, as well. So he made gather round while I sing you of Werner von Braun, a man whose allegiance was ruled by expedience. Call him a Nazi, he won't even frown. Ah, Nazi schmatzi, says Werner von Braun, is how the original song goes. But as we're going off to the show end, as I prepared, to do some quick video editing and then all the other stuff, we'll hear the reimagining of both Werner von Braun and Alma. And if you like Tom Lehrer, and or if you like my reimagining of them, and if this actually brings you, a knowledge of Tom Lehrer that you might not have known, share the heck out of these videos that are on my YouTube channel already. So I'll let y'all know. I'll post on my socials how everything went. And we will again see if and in what form a show will take place on Monday, simply because I don't know if I'm getting up the stairs that soon. But until then, here's the new reimagining of Werner von Braun, followed by the redo of Alma. Till then, peace.
you picked her up on your antenna, you'd never be free of her spell. Her lovers were many and varied from the day she began her bikini. There were 3 famous ones whom she married, and God knows how many in between. Oh, ma, tell us, all modern women are jealous. Which of your magical wands got you, Gustav and Walter? to all she met were full, and he too was caught in her net. He married her, but he was careful, 'cause Alma was no Bernadette. And that is the story of Alma, who knew how to receive and to give. The body that reached her revolver was one that had your how to live. Oh, careless, how can they help being just? Ducks always envy the swans who get Gustav and Walter. You never did falter with Gustav and Walter and Franz. With Gustav and Walter and Franz.